Hi, my name's James Cunil, and over the next 10 or so minutes we'll go through the latest funding rounds in enterprise tech. It's been a bit of a quieter week this week with just under 200 million going across 4 companies. That funding found its way into AI, security and cloud infrastructure as well. And there's one particular company that we'll start with that I found quite an interesting approach. So let's get into it. So first up is a company called Island, and I must admit this type of technology went under the radar a bit for me in this approach. So Island build an enterprise-grade browser, so a web browser for your computer. Now, this is built on top of Cranium, which is the same browser technology that Google Chrome is built on, so one of the main browser technologies there. Island have received $100 million in this funding round. So the browser comes with a whole bunch of capability that you really need to run an enterprise. And this is why I wasn't expecting, I suppose, this, but it's obvious when you think about it. So the browser is the number one application that's used across business, right? More than Microsoft 365, more than Slack or whatever you might use. The browser is the number one. So you think there's probably a pretty large market for this. They've attracted a massive round, which shoots them up into unicorn status. Let's have a little quick look at what they go through, because it's quite interesting, actually, the possibilities around this. So when you jump onto the website and have a look through the messaging, I don't think I'm alone in saying I was pretty naive around my perception around browsers, and I was kind of like default to Edge or really Chrome. I know there's a bunch of others, but they're the main two. Island are doing a really important job here in educating people around that misperception. This is a space that's not obvious, I would say, and that's why the messaging here is really around realigning those expectations for people that are visiting this website. Now, the main, as you go through this messaging, the main sort of theme is around security, I would say. So it really talks around, well, if you're going to, if your browser's the number one piece and, you're bringing all these applications or security apps to sort of protect your browsing activity, and we all know what they are. We've gone through a number of those recently, but really, shouldn't they be embedded in that actual application? Isn't that a smarter way to do it? That's where this messaging is going. Now, the other part, which I found quite interesting, was that they start to talk around helping people work as well. So productivity. So it's not just around security or governance, but it's also around productivity. So jumping into the product area of the website, obviously security is sort of top of mind. What activity, who's doing what, which is super important, how to control that. So then we start to look at bits like this. It talks about browser automation, automating between your apps or your SaaS-based, browser-based apps. That's kind of cool. Wonder where it could go to. This, if you think about AI coming into technology and getting embedded into technology, we see that with Bing in the Edge browser now as well. So this is going to be a little bit of a heated up market, I think, and quite exciting to see. I like this value proposition for an enterprise. I'm sure there's lots of use cases, broad use cases. It kind of shakes up sort of a status quo, and I always enjoy seeing those types of companies. It is unfortunate, though, that I can't get my hands on the product. Had a little look through, you got to get a demo, no pricing as well. I wonder if that is on the roadmap to sort of make this more accessible, try before you buy type of thing, maybe a PLG type of approach. That may indicate the type of customers they're going after. I kind of thought this was more broad market applicable, but if they're going for those specific use cases or large enterprises, they may try and keep the gates on that and want to talk to you first. Anyway, a really interesting one. I'd love to get my hands on it. We're keeping a close eye on this, guys, too. Next up is a Canadian-based AI and ML company called CentML. So CentML have raised $27 million in a large seed round. Now, the value proposition is around giving the tools and capability for people developing AI and ML models on what appears to be cloud infrastructure. So making that easier, simplifying it and reducing costs. Let's have a quick look at them. So as I said, it really talks around reducing the complexity around deploying models and managing those models across many different or cloud agnostic environments. That's the perception I pick up here. A lot of what they're talking about here is cost effectiveness of it. We know that, running ML can be, or AI can be really compute intensive and requires like quite substantial and expensive cloud compute instances. So it is sort of a price sensitive area of the market, but there's also this element of companies trying to be first to market with capability or applications, and developers really having to accelerate and speed up their ML dev cycles. So this platform's sort of targeting that. We've seen a few of these recently, or kind of similar sort of areas around speeding up, making it simple, not having to worry about the infrastructure and just worrying about what you're actually building and the value of your building rather than the plumbing and bits and pieces there. This definitely has a bit more of a stronger price element to it than some of the others we've seen. Look, there's not a whole lot there. There's not a whole bunch to go off. This is fairly common for a seed round, so I'd imagine there's a bunch more that's going to come out around this. It was started by academics as well, so it's a highly technical product, and often we see coming out of these higher education spaces is there's specific use cases that they accelerate at, often like research and things like this. So we'll see if this goes down that same path. Next up is a company called Cranium, who have received $25 million in a Series A. So Cranium were a spin out of KPMG, so founded inside KPMG, and then they've sort of launched this company out of it because it's obviously got capability that they think is going to survive better outside of a large consulting firm. So Cranium are jumping onto this AI bandwagon with the security angle, which is, extremely important type of market, and there needs to be investing in this space. There is a lot of risk around AI and sharing of data, and how that data, the data that gets hold of in an enterprise or uses and from applications or the web or things like that. As businesses leverage AI more, it's really important that we keep wrapping security around that, progress security around this AI revolution. And that is where Cranium are pushing for. Now, it is early days, and if we look at the website, the messaging is quite high level. There's not a lot to go on. It basically talks to the message around, we've got to secure AI because it's accesses data and users can do specific things on it that they've never been able to do before. It does talk a little bit about this AI card, which I'm not really sure. I mean, they're trying to demonstrate sort of, the use case or what they actually do. I'd say for me, it's a little bit difficult to grasp. A few dashboards here that we can see, and looking at organizationally around being able to have visibility of the security elements of your AI models that are deployed, assuming you've got more than one, and there's quite a few there, which will happen as companies move forward more with this. And it talks a little bit around, building AI and also buying applications with AI. And you need security across all of those things. So a little bit of a technology stack here, or sort of, capabilities mapping to different things that they do. Looks good. It's an important area. We need to keep investing in these areas, and we're definitely keeping an eye on this one. And I assume they're going to be going from strength to strength. It's a good round. So the last one today is a company called Oxide Compute, who do cloud infrastructure. Oxide Compute has raised $44 million in a funding round. Now, interesting company because it's kind of like cloud in a box. So they do the hardware and the software stack and the development stack and everything, and sort of wrap it all up in a package box, and it says you don't have to worry about anything. It all comes as it is, right? So, there is a few companies out there that do this already. There's engineered systems from Oracle. IBM have capability in this space too. Then we've got Azure, AWS, GCP, who all have type of, on-premise versions of their cloud, and they sort of make alliances with different hardware vendors and things like this. So it is a busy space. I'm not sure, it's a lot of money to be getting invested to start with, but I'm sure there's use cases that I just haven't seen or dived into that are unique for this area. I just wasn't. This is more a type of investment I would have expected 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. Not today. I still think that at the end of the day, the companies investing in this have a lot more resources to research this technology and get a better look under the hood than I ever will. So difficult for me to be the judge, but at face value, I think generally for enterprises, this probably isn't something that they will look at. It might have more specific use cases out there. But looking through, I mean, the website does look awesome, and it looks like there is a whole bunch of capability here. Vertically integrated and scale ready. I do possibly argue with the scale ready because there's a limit. When you're buying infrastructure, there's a limit. There's theoretically no limit to things like AWS. How do things like serverless capabilities work on platforms like this? I don't know. I'd imagine this is more for raw compute, raw memory, and having sort of cloudy capability around that. It does talk to around their API, their CLI. See, this is something you'd never have to worry about if you're actually on a hyperscaler. Look, I suppose security is a big element of this because you're not on a hyperscaler. So if you're in particular environments or industries where you basically can't be in the public cloud, this could be a good option, but you want those sort of like agile capability around scaling and deployments and things like that, and that development agility, which is what they're kind of proposing here. Anyway, it's a big round. I just don't know about the long-term viability of this with the prevalence of cloud, but who am I to judge? Anyway, that's it this week. 4 companies, nice, quick and simple. We'll be back next week and we'll have a look at the funding round and see if it's a little bit busier. Anyway, catch you next week. Thank you.